There is a woman named Linda who is 62 years old. For months, she felt a little more tired than usual. She told herself it was just age catching up with her. She told herself it was just stress from her grandchildren visiting, or maybe she just needed more sleep. She kept brushing it off day after day until one afternoon she could not even climb her own stairs without stopping halfway to catch her breath. That is when she finally went to the doctor. And what the doctor told her changed everything. Her body had been quietly warning her for months, and she had almost missed it. This is not just Linda's story. This is the story of millions of people over 45 who are walking around every single day with warning signs their body is desperately trying to show them, and they are ignoring every single one of them because they think it is simply part of getting older. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly what those warning signs look like, why they happen, and more importantly, what you can actually do about them before they turn into something much more serious. So stay with us until the end, because sign number 6 is the one almost nobody talks about, and it could be the most important one of all. Before we go further, if you find this kind of information valuable, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Here at Dr. Fazal, our goal is simple. We want to help you understand your body so you can make informed decisions about your health without fear and without confusion. Now let's talk about what your body might be trying to tell you. The truth is, aging does not happen overnight. It happens in whispers, long before it happens in shouts. Your body has this incredible way of sending small signals before anything major goes wrong. The problem is that most of us are taught to associate getting older with simply slowing down. So we assume every ache, every bit of tiredness, and every strange symptom is just part of the process. But research suggests that many of the symptoms people casually dismiss as normal aging are actually signals of something that can be addressed and sometimes even reversed if caught early enough. Think about how differently we treat our cars compared to how we treat our own bodies. If a strange light popped up on your dashboard, most of us would take the car straight to a mechanic instead of just turning up the radio to ignore the sound underneath the hood. Yet when our own body flashes a warning light in the form of tiredness, breathlessness, or a strange ache, so many of us just turn up the radio of daily life and keep driving. We tell ourselves we are too busy, or that it will pass, or that everyone our age feels this way. And sometimes that quiet decision to ignore the dashboard light is the difference between catching something early and dealing with a much bigger problem years down the road. Let's start with the first warning sign, and this one might surprise you. It is unexplained weight loss. Now, most people think losing weight without trying is a good thing. After all, who does not want to drop a few pounds without changing their diet? But when someone loses a noticeable amount of weight, say more than 10 pounds, without changing how they eat or how much they move, that can actually be one of the body's clearest cries for help. Studies have found that unintentional weight loss in older adults can be linked with issues ranging from thyroid imbalances to digestive problems, and in some cases, it can be an early indicator of something more serious happening internally. The common mistake people make here is celebrating the weight loss instead of questioning it. If you or someone you love has lost weight without even trying, it is worth having an honest conversation with a doctor rather than simply enjoying smaller clothing sizes. The second sign is something almost everyone experiences at some point, but very few take seriously enough. It is persistent fatigue. We are not talking about the kind of tired you feel after a long day of work or a poor night's sleep. We are talking about a deep, constant exhaustion that does not go away even after resting. This is the kind of tiredness that makes simple daily tasks, like folding laundry or walking to the mailbox, feel like climbing a mountain. Many people chalk this up to simply getting older, but ongoing fatigue can be connected to several underlying issues, including anemia, heart problems, or hormonal changes. The mistake most people make is pushing through it silently instead of mentioning it during a checkup. Your body does not get tired for no reason. There is almost always a why behind it, and finding that why can make a tremendous difference in how you feel every single day. Now let's talk about the third sign, which brings us back to Linda's story: shortness of breath during activities that used to feel easy. Maybe it is climbing a flight of stairs you used to run up without thinking. Maybe it is carrying groceries from the car to the kitchen. When you notice yourself getting winded doing things that never used to bother you, this is your body sending up a flare. Research has linked unexplained breathlessness with several possible causes, including changes in heart function and lung capacity that can develop gradually over the years. The problem is that this symptom often creeps in so slowly that people adjust their lives around it without even realizing they are doing it. They stop taking the stairs. They ask someone else to carry the heavy bags. They tell themselves they are simply out of shape. But this gradual adjustment can actually hide a warning sign that deserves real attention. The fourth warning sign is swelling in the legs, ankles, or feet. This is one that a lot of people notice, but very few connect to anything serious. Maybe your shoes feel tighter by the end of the day, or you notice indentations on your skin after wearing socks. A little swelling now and then, especially after a long flight or a day of standing, can be completely normal. But when swelling becomes a regular pattern, especially if it happens on both sides of the body and does not go down with rest, it can be linked with circulation issues or how well the heart is managing fluid throughout the body. The common mistake here is assuming it is simply a sign of being on your feet too much, when in reality, persistent swelling deserves a proper conversation with your healthcare provider. Let's move to the fifth sign. And this one affects nearly everyone as they age, but the way people respond to it makes all the difference. Changes in vision. Maybe reading the newspaper suddenly requires you to hold it further away. Maybe night driving feels harder than it used to, with headlights appearing more glaring than before. Some vision changes are a natural part of aging, but sudden or dramatic shifts, especially blurriness, dark spots, or difficulty seeing in low light, should never be brushed aside. Studies have found that certain eye changes can also be an early window into other health conditions happening elsewhere in the body, since the eyes are connected to blood vessels and nerves that reflect what is happening internally. The mistake most people make is waiting years between eye exams, assuming that if they can still see well enough to get by, everything must be fine. Now here is sign number 6, the one we promised you at the beginning, the one almost nobody talks about openly. It is subtle memory lapses and moments of confusion. We are not talking about occasionally forgetting where you put your keys, because that happens to everyone at any age. We are talking about something a little different, like forgetting a conversation you had earlier that day, struggling to follow a story you used to follow easily, or feeling foggy in situations that used to feel clear. This one is difficult because it often comes with a heavy dose of fear and denial. People notice it in themselves or in someone they love, and instead of addressing it, they quietly hope it goes away on its own. Research suggests that some memory changes can be connected to sleep quality, stress, nutrition, and cardiovascular health, meaning that in many cases, lifestyle adjustments may help support cognitive clarity. The biggest mistake people make with this sign is silence. They do not want to say it out loud because saying it out loud makes it feel real. But naming what you are noticing and bringing it to a doctor is often the very first step toward understanding what is actually happening and what can be done about it. Think about a husband who has noticed his wife repeating the same question 3 times within an hour. He loves her so much that he cannot bring himself to say anything, so he simply answers the question again each time, quietly worried but staying silent. Or think about a daughter who notices her father getting turned around on a drive he has taken 100 times before and decides not to mention it because she is afraid of what the answer might be. These moments of silence born out of love and fear are incredibly common, but they can also delay the very help that might make the biggest difference. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to gently say, "I noticed this, and I think we should talk to someone about it," rather than pretending you did not notice at all. The 7th sign is one that can literally save lives, and that is a noticeable change in balance, along with an increase in falls or near falls. Maybe you have started holding on to the wall a little more when walking through your hallway at night. Maybe you have had a stumble or two that you brushed off as clumsiness. Balance changes happen gradually, and because they happen gradually, they are incredibly easy to normalize. But falls are one of the leading causes of serious injury for people over 65, and many falls are preceded by months of subtle balance changes that went unaddressed. The mistake people make here is waiting until after a fall happens to take balance seriously instead of paying attention to the warning signs that come before it. And finally, the eighth sign is changes in the skin, specifically wounds that take an unusually long time to heal, or bruising that appears more easily and more often than it used to. Skin is often called the window to what is happening inside the body, and for good reason. When healing slows down noticeably, or when bruises show up from the smallest bumps, it can be linked with changes in circulation, nutrition, or how the body is managing inflammation. The common mistake people make is assuming their skin is simply thinner now because they are older, without asking why that thinning is happening at an accelerated pace, or without asking whether there is something that can be done to support better healing. So why does all of this matter so much? Because here's the truth that so many people are never told clearly enough. Getting older does not mean falling apart. It does not mean accepting every symptom as unavoidable. Your body has an incredible ability to communicate with you, but it can only speak in whispers, small signals, subtle changes, quiet discomforts. It is up to us to actually listen. The people who age with strength, clarity, and independence are very often not the people who got lucky. They are the people who paid attention early, who did not brush off the small stuff, and who built a habit of checking in with their bodies the same way they check in with their finances or their homes. If any of these 8 signs sounded familiar to you, whether in yourself or in someone you love, please do not panic, but please do not ignore it either. The next step is simple. Write down what you have noticed, be specific about when it started and how often it happens, and bring that information to a healthcare provider you trust. You do not need to have all the answers. You just need to start the conversation. Early awareness, paired with the right guidance from a professional, can make an enormous difference in how the next chapter of your life unfolds. Think back to Linda for a moment, the woman we talked about at the very beginning. When she finally sat down with her doctor and described exactly what she had been feeling, the breathlessness, the tiredness, the way her ankles had started to swell by evening, her doctor was able to piece together a picture that had been building for months. Because she caught it when she did, she was able to make some meaningful changes to how she was managing her health. And today she says the hardest part was not the appointment itself. It was working up the courage to stop making excuses and finally go. That is the part so many of us get stuck on. Not the doctor's visit, not the tests, but simply admitting to ourselves that something is worth looking into. And once you get past that first moment of honesty, everything else tends to become so much easier to face. It is also worth remembering that you are not meant to carry this alone. Whether it is a spouse, an adult child, a close friend, or a sibling, having someone in your corner who can help you notice these changes, who can gently ask how you are really doing, and who can go with you to that first appointment, can make all the difference between letting a warning sign slip by and catching it in time. Health is rarely something we manage best in isolation. It tends to be a team effort, built on people who care enough to speak up when something seems different, even when it feels a little uncomfortable to say out loud. Before you go, we would love to hear from you. Which of these 8 signs resonated with you the most? Have you or someone in your family experienced any of these and found a way to address it? Share your story in the comments below, because your experience might be exactly what helps someone else finally take that first step toward getting checked. And if you know someone, a parent, a sibling, a close friend, who might benefit from hearing this today, please take a moment to share this video with them. Sometimes the people we love need to hear these things from somewhere other than us, and this video might be exactly that gentle nudge they need. Remember this, your body is not working against you as you get older. It is working incredibly hard to protect you, and every single one of these signs is simply its way of asking for a little help and a little attention. You deserve to move through this stage of life with strength, clarity, and confidence, not fear. Taking care of your health is not about chasing perfection. It is about listening closely, acting early, and giving yourself the same compassion and attention you have spent your whole life giving to everyone else. If this video helped you see your body in a new light today, make sure you are subscribed to Dr. Fazal, because we will continue bringing you honest, research-informed conversations about the health changes that matter most as you age. Take care of yourself today because the small steps you take right now are what shape how strong, how clear, and how independent you feel for many years to come.